How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Infinite Sports. I'm your host, Kenneth Gruenfelder, to recap last night's game, the second game of a two-game set between the Yankees and the Rays. And the Yankees combined the two teams, the Yays. The Yankees completed the sweep, 6-4, the final score in extra innings. And it was the first time this year that the Yankees had won a game in extra innings on the road because they were 0-6 going into the game last night. So now they're 1-6. So hey, that's an improvement. Look at that. But it wasn't easy. It was not easy. Now, the main story of the game really is how well Cam Schlittler pitched last night. Had a perfect game going into the seventh inning, and then he surrendered a leadoff single to Chandler Simpson, who actually also broke up, if I'm not mistaken, he also broke up Max Fried's no-hitter earlier this season, which was also in Tampa at George M. Steinbrenner Field. But he was awesome last night. Everything was working for him. He was pumping in that fastball, was overwhelming hitters, and then on top of that, the curveball was really working last night. They were talking about that on the broadcast as well. Really was getting a lot of swing and misses on that. And the cutter was working a little bit too. That was his best start of the year by far. And the Yankees are really going to need him as we move along here and get towards the postseason. Because if that's the Cam Schlittler that we see for a playoff start, Yankees will take that. But like I said, Yankees, they got up. It wasn't easy. They took an early lead in the top of the first inning. Trent Grisham led off the game with a home run. And it was funny because I said the same thing and then Joe Girardi said it. Wasn't part of the home run party the previous night with all the 9 homers, but he had a couple last night. So he led off the game with the home run, continues his great season that he's had for the Yankees. But the Rays didn't get on the board until the bottom of the 8th inning. And then Austin Wells, who was in the lineup last night, hit a home run as well. Both of them hit. Both of them had 2 home runs last night. Austin Wells hit a home run, his 16th of the season. That was in the top of the 5th inning. And then Grisham homered again, his 23rd of the season, to put the Yankees up 3-0. But once once Cam Schlittler lost a no-hitter, he kind of lost his rhythm. He started walking people. They had to take him out with 2 outs. He did strike out Jose Caballero before he was taken out of the game for the second out of the inning. And he, like I said, was pumping in the fastball, got him to swing and miss. And then they did put in Luke Weaver, who just pumped fastballs and was able to get out of the inning on 3 pitches. And he did pitch the 8th inning. He did surrender a home run to Bob Seymour, the left-handed hitter. It was a wall scraper, but hey, look, some of the home runs that the Yankees hit in this series were wall scrapers, but the Austin Wells homers were not wall scrapers, to say the least. So yeah, Bob Seymour homered, so that closed the deficit to within 2. Yankees went down 1-2-3 in the 9th inning. And the Yankees put in David Bednar. He struck out Yandy Diaz to start the inning, but then he walked Brandon Lau. He gave up a single to Junior Caminero. And then he struck out Josh Lowe. And then Hunter Fiducia came up to the plate, and the Dodgers traded him over to the Rays. And he was batting like 130 going into that at-bat, and I think he hit his first extra base hit. Bednar had 2 strikes on him, and it looked like it was going to get out, but it just hits the wall. 2 runs score, and the game is tied. I thought the Yankees were going to lose it at that point. He's able to get out of the inning. Bednar, he strikes out Jake Magnum to move the game to extra innings. So now Giancarlo Stanton comes up. He pinch hits for Ryan McMahon. And Stanton once again comes through in a big spot. He hits a 2-run homer off Pete Fairbanks to give the Yankees a 5-3 lead at that point. And Giancarlo Stanton, historically, going into this season, was not a great pinch hitter. He was 3 for 41 with no extra base hits in his career as a pinch hitter until this season. This year, as a pinch hitter, Giancarlo Stanton is 4 for 7 with 2 home runs. I mean, he's talked about it. He locks in, he tries to stay ready whenever he's needed, and he came up big once again in that spot. And Stanton has just been on fire, and the Yankees need him. He is taking over this lineup similar to what he did back in 2021, the final couple months of the season, which was, his other best stretch as a Yankee was in 2021, which helped propel the Yankees to the playoffs. So he's doing it once again, and he's doing it at 35 years old as well. And with all the injuries that he's dealt with, and the injuries coming into this season, Stanton is putting together a great year, and he's been the Yankees' best hitter right now, along with Aaron Judge. And then Austin Wells, his second homer of the night, he puts the Yankees ahead by 3, 6-3, now going into the bottom of the 10th inning. And actually before that though, Jose Caballero attempted to steal a bag. He was safe, but then he slid too far and he was tagged out. He ended up getting thrown out of the game, going back and forth with the umpire. And that kind of hampered the Yankees because they needed him to play right field because they didn't want to put Stanton back out in the outfield because Stanton pinch hit for Ryan McMahon. So McMahon was out of the game. They put Rosario at third. So now the Yankees were forced to put Stanton back out in right field, which, again, is something they did not want to do in this game. But they did, and no harm, no foul when that move was made. But Caballero did kind of hurt them a little bit with that. So Devin Williams gets put into the game. And immediately he gives up a hit to Bob Seymour. That scores a run. Then he gives up a double to Tristan Gray. So second and third with nobody out. And I'm sitting there going, here we go again. They're going to blow this game. And Devin Williams has blown a game in Tampa before earlier this season. The Yankees were up by a lot of runs in that game. They were up, I think, 8-4. And then he surrendered all those runs and the Yankees ended up losing. And I think Drew Rasmussen was on the mound for that game as well, if I'm not mistaken, because he started the game for the Rays. But to Devin Williams' credit, strikes out Chandler Simpson, strikes out Yandy Diaz, and then he strikes out Brandon Lau to end the game. And he was pumped up. So he was able to get through it, but I got to tell you, if the Yankees lost that game, social media would have lost its mind over that decision to put him in. And I kept saying, when there was second and third, and nobody out, Mark Leiter Jr. is warming up in the bullpen, and I was saying, why didn't they just put him in? Anybody but Devin Williams at this point. But Devin Williams, to his credit, gave up a run, second and third, nobody out. He strikes out the side. So you got to give him credit there for getting the Yankees out of the jam. And they're waiting on some reinforcements to come back. Fernando Cruz could be an option this weekend. Not sure yet. And also Ryan Yarbrough you have coming back as well. So that's going to be very important, getting those two guys back in this bullpen, because now you had two lefties, Tim Hill and Yarbrough. Yarbrough could pitch, more than one inning. Can give you length that the Yankees needed out of the bullpen. Fernando Cruz has been awesome. Before he got hurt, he was one of the Yankees' more reliable relievers. So Yankees really need those guys back. But it was an exciting game. Once again, this Yankees team is putting their fans on the edge of their seats lately with some of these games. It looked like it was going to be another one of those games that gets away from them, but that's not the case. And it was important because, again, Red Sox were off, Blue Jays lost, the Mariners lost, so the Yankees picked up ground once again. So they really did a lot over the course of the last week or so. Since I went to the first Twins game, they have only lost one game, and that was the game that Joe Ryan pitched in the final game at Yankee Stadium. But the Yankees, they went undefeated on the road trip. They went 5-0. And now they come home to take on the Boston Red Sox. Now, the Red Sox, for them, they have extra rest because they had a 2-game set with the Orioles and they had an off day, so they've been waiting for the Yankees in New York, and the Yankees got in very late. So you do kind of worry about that. Luis Gil, I was listening to Michael Kay, he was talking about how Luis Gil already left before the game yesterday, so he's going to be well rested, but the rest of the team is going to be coming in late. So, you kind of worry about that. Because that might have affected them in the series in Fenway as well. They got in late from Kansas City. But you can't make excuses, though. This is a huge series. This is the biggest series of the season. And if the Yankees really want to make a statement, they got to come out with a certain kind of energy, and they got to take the series from the Red Sox. A sweep is very unlikely. A split, that would probably be, at minimum, but you'd like to see the Yankees take at least 3 out of 4. But it's going to be tough. They're 1-5 against the Red Sox. However, in those first two series of the season, Red Sox did not see Giancarlo Stanton, who does very well against the Red Sox. So we'll see how the Yankees have the lineup set for tonight. I'm anticipating that Stanton will be in the outfield again. There's still no timetable on whether or not Aaron Judge is going to take the field at some point. I hope it's soon, so Stanton can DH. You just cross your fingers every time he's playing the outfield now. But you gotta have Stanton and Judge in the lineup. So, but this is a big series. This is a big series, and if the Yankees can handle their business here, I'll be buying back in to the season. So I've been encouraged by what I've seen, how they've been hitting, some of the contributions that they've gotten from guys you don't expect, like Jose Caballero had a good series against the Rays. He really had a good road trip in general. Stanton obviously, Judge hit a home run in the series against the Rays. Bellinger is going to pick it back up. Volpe has been playing better defense. We saw some good. We've been seeing some really good defense at Anthony Volpe as of late. Made another tough play yesterday to try to preserve the perfect game. Jazz Chisholm can get hot at any time. Goldschmidt has looked better as of late. We saw 2 home runs out of Austin Wells last night, so that can mean something. And you know what? I like that there's pressure on him now whenever he gets an opportunity to perform, because Ben Rice has essentially taken his job. So, that puts pressure on him to say, you know what? I'm not guaranteed at bats every day. I got to make sure I'm ready. I'm locked and ready to go when it's my time. And he hit 2 home runs last night, and they made a big difference in the game. So that was encouraging. I like what I've seen out of McMahon with the at-bats. I mean, he's definitely strikes out a lot. We've seen that. But he plays a very good third base. But he has been a good pickup for the Yankees. Really, the trade deadline, Jake Bird and Duvall, they haven't really panned out. More so Jake Bird. I mean, he's got sent down. But you look at the position players, and obviously Bednar blew the save last night, but he's been great for the Yankees. He's their closer. The trade deadline, for the most part, was a success for the Yankees. And they have more options. I said this already. I've said it a handful of times already, but the bench is deep. And that's what you need, especially going into the playoffs. But they handled their business. They did very well against the Rays. I think that's it with the Rays. They finished 9-4 against them this season. But now you got to improve that record against the Red Sox. And then, the schedule softens up with 2 series against the Nationals and the White Sox. And then you got that 4-series stretch between very good teams. Houston, Toronto, Boston, and Detroit. And then it softens up again. You play Baltimore, I think, twice. You play the White Sox again. And then I forget who else they play. But we'll see. It's going to go very fast. But the Yankees are in a good position right now. They're the top wild card team in the American League, although that could flip on a dime depending on what happens in this series. But you got to like what you've seen out of this Yankee team as of late. But you got to keep things into perspective. You have to also take into account who they played. But again, you can also say, look at how they've played over the last 2 months. So I think you do have to take this into consideration. Like, hey, this team is playing better. So, and, we saw good pitching performances. Luis Gil looks like he's getting back to himself. Let's see if he pitches well tonight. Cam Schlittler, Yankees made the right move, releasing Marcus Stroman and giving Schlittler a chance. You just got to hope that Max Fried and Carlos Rodon can figure it out. More so Max Fried. Max Fried's got to figure it out. If Max Fried can get back to how he was at the beginning of the season, the Yankees are in great shape. So, but let me know what you guys think, though, about the game from last night. Once again, Giancarlo Stanton, what more can you say about that man? He is on a mission. I mean, you saw it last year in the playoffs, and you're seeing it again. He's taking over this team. He's putting the team on his back, and he's saying, ride along with me, guys. I got this. He's just been awesome. And I know I've probably said this before, but you go back to when the Yankees first acquired him, and he was getting booed the first homestand as a Yankee, and he had a rough postseason the first year he was a Yankee. He's come a long way since then, and he's handled everything as professional as you could possibly be, as you could possibly do as a Yankee and as a professional athlete playing in New York. It didn't faze him, and look at him. He's idolized. He's idolized in New York. And hopefully he can capture that championship, and, he's 50-something homers away from 500, and hopefully he can do that as a Yankee because his contract's up after 2027. I think there's a club option, but the Yankees are probably not going to pick it up. But he really has just been impressive when he's healthy. And this is the best he's looked as a Yankee. I would agree with that. I really would. I mean, he's batting over 300. I mean, imagine if he was healthy the whole year. I mean, Michael K brought it up. Is it not crazy to say that he'd be in the MVP talks? I mean, maybe if he's playing like this the whole year, if he was not injured for the first couple months of the season, yeah, I don't think it's that crazy. But he's playing either way. He's playing really well right now, and let's keep it up. So Stanton, he was once again a hero last night. Devin Williams in a big spot was able to get it done despite the traffic on the base paths. Cam Schlittler looked great. Yankees are coming in with momentum against the Red Sox, who have not been playing good ball as of late, but they're rested going into this game. So we'll see. It's a big game tonight. It's on Fox. Lucas Giolito against Luis Gil. Let's see what happens. But again, let me know what you guys think about the game from last night. Let me know in the comments. And as always, everybody, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the video and to the channel. Also, make sure to follow us on the social media platforms in the description below. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and wherever you get your podcasts. You could look us up. Infinite Sports is the name of the show, obviously, as you can see on the below me on the screen. And that's it, everybody. So, as always, I'm your host, Kenneth Grunfelder, signing off. Have a good one, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Take care.